Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another dose of your weekly rundown. Joined in with me, as always, my brother from another, my co-host all the way from the O, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, man. Can't complain, new job. Well, not a new job, but, on the job dealing with other people's children for 8 hours a day. It gets stolen, but we got to do what we got to do. Joined in once again. If you guys didn't get the chance to tune into the spaces, pretty much like the incognito other co-host of the show at this point. Mike on the mic, Mike McCoy. Let's get some hand claps for Mike McCoy, ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me again, Kayson. How you doing? Watching these Canes put a beat down on UNC, man.
Gotta love it. It was an ACC basketball, baby.
I am upset at the Kings. I was there for a couple of years, man. I covered the team. It wasn't that good. As soon as I leave, now all of a sudden it's this great basketball team. So.
They got more than 6 people to play. Kayson. That's what it is.
Yeah. But you know what? That's how it goes, man. That is how it goes. I can relate, and Kayson can relate on this again, maybe, because I love my Brentwood Athletics, you know what I'm saying? But the basketball team and the football team was not very good when I was in high school, and years later, y'all want to be a playoff team playing for Suffolk County championships, so I feel y'all on a lower level.
Right.
We got some things that we got to get into. We had wild card weekend, so we definitely got to recap that. I want to start off by saying this was the worst start to a playoffs in any sport that I have ever seen in my life. I'm not trying to be funny. This expanded playoffs thing seemed like a good idea last year, especially with COVID going on, like a whole let's be fair. It ain't working out. I just watched a lot of really bad football for the most part, and teams that did not look like they belonged at all. So before we recap, I mean, gentlemen, if the floor is yours, if y'all want to critique how this wild card weekend went based on, the product that was out on the field.
I mean, I don't like it basically because of the simple fact that, first of all, I don't like the 17-game regular season. Let's just put that out there. I don't like that. Okay, fine, you made the preseason shorter, but then you kind of made up for it by adding another regular season game. I thought the idea of this was for health benefits of the players. You didn't do anything if you added another regular season game. And then, I don't know. I mean, in terms of quality of play of wild card weekend, I felt like teams, like say, Arizona looked like a playoff team all year long. Dallas looked like a playoff team all year long. I don't know what happened. They shut the bed, but hopefully next week's a little bit better. But I'm cool because my Niners won. We'll get into that. But I don't like the expanded playoff idea thing either.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a money grab thing. I think we've seen that. They're adding an extra game and doing all that.
Yeah, definitely not the greatest. I think one game, the score. So we all picked the Bengals, if I have it correct, right?
Yes.
We all picked the Bengals. That ended up going how we expected. Joe Burrow is going to be a player in this league. Like, can we all agree on that? Joe Burrow is going to be a player in this league. And I seen like Rex Ryan. I usually don't agree with a lot of things that Rex Ryan says, this being one of them, when he was kind of making his player comp Tom Brady. Y'all tell me if I'm crazy. I've been saying this for a while. I think he might end up being a better player than Eli Manning, but to me, Joe Burrow's player comp has always been Eli Manning based on nothing that seems to really phase this guy. He's got the same look every time he's out on the field. He handles pressure super well. I think I call him a more athletic version of Eli Manning.
I can see where you say that up here mentally. I think his physical attributes, they supersede that of Eli, because Eli was more smart than anything. He wasn't the most athletic. He didn't have the greatest arm, but he was clutch, definitely clutch, an accurate guy, but had 2 left feet, but he was a leader. He was a leader when it mattered most. But Burrow, I think he checks off, the arm strength. He doesn't have a cannon of an arm, but I think he has a bigger arm than Eli. They're both deep ball. They're both accuracy. Deep ball is decent. and he's definitely more mobile. So, but up here, yeah, I can see the comparison.
24-34, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Looked amazing doing it. I thought the post game presser was hilarious with the glasses that he had on. Don't know if y'all got to see that. And then when he was asked about their first playoff win in 31 years, all he said was it was cool. So like that's it for me. I'm an instant fan. I am an instant fan just off that alone. The AFC North is going to be a hell of a division for it's kind of a renaissance too, because this has been the Steelers and Ravens division for years to come. Steelers not, especially not. I mean, the Steelers are going to be players because they got Mike Tomlin. This guy won with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph as his quarterbacks for a whole season. So there's talk about them drafting a quarterback in this draft. It's not a strong QB draft, but I think there's some talent to be had there. And of course, Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins are still there to possibly compete if you need them to. But moving forward, this is going to be a hell of a division. I think the Ravens coming back next year, ton of injuries they had that really derailed their season. It's going to be real fun to watch. Anyway, Jamar Chase, who's probably going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, he had a quiet game, but he was there when you needed him to. Joe Mixon, 48 yards, 17 attempts. Tyler Boyd, their stars weren't. Well, excuse me, I'm sorry. Jamar Chase, 116 yards, 9 receptions, 12 total targets. Joe Mixon, 28 yards. He had a quiet game. That was on the receiving side. Rushing, Joe Mixon had 48 yards and 17 attempts. Good game, man. I mean, we'll get into predictions after this, but that was a fun watch. Now, here is where I'm like, all right, this is bad. Because Bengals Raiders wasn't super enjoyable, but it wasn't a complete beat down.
Right.
Right. And the Raiders had a chance to win. I did not. And I mean, I picked the Patriots to win. I think, Mike, I believe you picked the Bills. And Kay, I don't remember if you picked the Bills or the Patriots.
I think I went Bills.
Patriots.
Yeah, I went Bills.
Kay went with the Bills.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all being honest and saying nobody saw that coming. 47-6. It was never close once. And the touchdowns that the Patriots did get were in garbage time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think anyone saw like a blowout coming. Like I said, I think I picked the Bills to win, but I don't think I picked by a blowout. So I don't think anyone saw that coming. So I agree with you.
The 47-17, what the Bills did, because I'm sitting there before it was even 47-17. I'm like, all right, so y'all gonna take Josh Allen out the game, right? And put Mitch Trubisky in because they're not coming back. And they just kept trotting Josh Allen out there and putting up more points. So what the Bills did was, number one, they ain't forget about that embarrassing loss earlier in the year when they lost to the Patriots, when Mac Jones only threw the ball like 3 times for 19 yards and they still won. We're able to win. But this was like 20 years in the making. The Bills were on straight revenge mode. We ain't forget all this misery that y'all have put us through for all these years. And we about to dish it back to y'all, son.
I mean, it would have been a sad story if something did happen to one of their starters, right? Like, you got to learn. I get it. You want to make a point, but I mean, that has to be, without looking at any type of records or stats or whatever, that has to be the worst loss by a Belichick coach team, like, in his career. 47-17, 30 points. I mean, it was 27-3 at halftime. Damn. And so, I mean, what can you say? Josh Allen incompleted four passes, man. They wanted to make a statement, and I think they wanted to make that statement more so for the Chiefs than they did against for the Pats. That's what I think, because they played earlier in the year, and Buffalo came out on top, but this is a whole different KC team at this point in the year than when they played. I think it was like week 3 or maybe week 5, something like that. But I wanted the Pats. I was shocked at the score. I was shocked at the outcome. Because I'm thinking a Belichick coach team, like, it's just hard to come. Now, what I will say is this about the Pats is that, so last year they had the team with the most COVID opt-outs, right? And so they still, I think they won like 7 games, if I'm not mistaken. I think they won like 7 games. So this year I picked them to win the division, and they were like a game away from doing that. I don't think that they're done, man. I think, they didn't win the division. didn't win it by a game or whatever the outcome was. But I think they're coming. They were 10-7, 6-2 on the road this year. And so I just think they're going to keep getting better. And next year is probably going to be another 10, 11 win season. And I'm not counting them out, man. I just think they're going to be there for a long time. As long as Belichick's there, they're going to be a team.
I definitely agree, and I think Mac Jones will only get better as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, we've seen the comparisons to Tom Brady and things like that. So getting more reps and more experience under his belt is only going to help them. And we talked about the weather. Maybe the weather got to them. I think it's like a cold front all over the world right now.
It was 6 degrees. 6 degrees.
I mean, I guess they play up in Boston, which is cold too, but maybe the weather got to them a little bit.
Well, I thought the weather was going to be because I mean, when they had beat them in that first game, like, do you seen? I thought it affected Josh Allen more than anything, which you would be like, it's strange to say because they were at home, but I'm like, maybe he's not really ready to play to play in these conditions. But I will really dig into the Bills when we start doing predictions and stuff because, you know, I got a lot to say about them and where their ceiling is compared to where, because a lot of inconsistency there, which is one of the reasons why I didn't believe in them in that game. And, you know, put egg on my face. It is what it is. I can admit when I'm wrong. I mean, the Patriots, again, like Mike said, it's a Bill Belichick team. This is the first time I think fans even saying that they could really say they felt disappointment in their lives because they've just been spoiled. Like, God,
Yeah.
if you were born, you know, late 90s, like all you know is winning as a Patriot. And they got their bandwagon fans because let's be real. Like if you're not from New England and you're saying you're a Patriots fan, if it ain't some type of family tie, it's you just watch them win, so you gravitated to them, just like a lot of people are Chiefs fans now, where, you know, if you grew up a 49ers fan in a certain era, again, no connection to, I'm not going to say if you were young, but I feel like the people that were that grew up as adults, you know what I mean? That's what I'm referring to. But anyway, I mean, just pulling up the numbers. Josh Allen, 308 yards, 5 touchdowns, 21-25, which Mike alluded to. On the rushing front, they had Singletary rush for 81 yards and two touchdowns on 16 attempts. Josh Allen himself rushed for 66 yards on 6 attempts. Then, you know, you had the receivers didn't really do. The receivers put up good numbers, I guess. You know, Dawson Knox, 89 yards receiving. Stephon Diggs is supposed to be your number one, 60 yards receiving. Dawson Knox scored 2 touchdowns. Gabriel Davis, 41 yards, 1 touchdown. Isaiah McKenzie, 45. You know, everybody had decent numbers. Emmanuel Sanders, 36 yards. A lot of these guys scored it was crazy. My whole takeaway from this game was we out here to disrespect y'all. And that was the first time I watched a division rivalry really get disrespectful without going to fisticuffs.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're not going to get that from a Belichick coach team because a lot like Nick Saban, you know, that's his understudy. Those teams never get into stuff like that. It could be really good or really bad for them. They're just all about business, even if the business is even if it's a bad business day. But you're not going to see that from a team like that. They're just going to take their lumps, learn from it, and they'll be back.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Now, I was going to say, you think them not making the playoffs last year, you think this loss is more disappointing than not making the playoffs at all last year?
I think it is. I think it is from the standpoint of, you know, you losing the wild card round when you at one point you were the hottest team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then you have that as one element, and then you add 2 more elements too. You add the second element is you lost in the wild card round to a divisional opponent. And the third element is you got completely embarrassed in the loss.
Yeah, the way you lost.
Bill Belichick is supposed to be this brilliant defensive mind. He just ran up the score on them.
Damn. They really did, man. They really did. I mean, they scored in double digits in every quarter except the third quarter. Buffalo did. They had 6 points in the third quarter. And, you know, where you're supposed to be winding it down in the fourth, they scored 2 touchdowns. So it was just, they could have outscored. They could have not scored in the second half and still won. So.
Yeah. When you think of that, that's just something else. The first game on Sunday was the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. we all picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, I think the Eagles, now this is me speaking objectively, because you guys know I'm a Giants fan. The Eagles weren't way over their heads coming into this game. It was one of those things where you're happy to be there. They didn't have any wins against any significant teams during the year. You know, they were able to put up a 9-8 record. But I mean, it was just business as usual for Tampa. I really don't have much to say about this game other than, you know, it was just too much for the Eagles. And where does Philly go from here? You know, you've been hearing the rumors since his rookie year that maybe they would like to upgrade at the quarterback position as opposed to keep Jalen Hurts. I'll be honest and say I think Jalen Hurts could be a player in this league. Like, I don't know if he'll ever be in the upper echelon of quarterbacks, but I think that that's a guy that you can win with. He's more in that Jimmy Garoppolo tier to me. Well, I think he could be in that Jimmy Garoppolo tier to me, but I don't know. Maybe they're tasting the playoffs first year. Maybe they're like, we won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. We want to get back to that. We don't want to wait for him to hit his strides.
I hope they don't give up on a guy that led, you know, their team to 6-3 record away from home, 9-8 on the season. You're supposed to lose to the defending Super Bowl champions at home, who, by the way, are going to have their hands full next week when they play
the Rams.
The Rams, because they're going to be at home, but wait, who's going to be at home? Who's the home team? I think the Bucs are the home team, right? Rams are the home team. First of all, the Rams took it to Tampa Bay when they played earlier this year, but then Wirfs, I think he's the right tackle, left tackle. He had a nasty ankle injury during I think it was the first series of that game. Limped off, tried to play through it, limped off, and they say he's going to be a decision down to the wire. It doesn't look good for him playing, and if he does play, he's definitely not going to be 100%. They're already minus Antonio Brown. I think Godwin's out too, right? For the year.
Godwin's out, but I think Evans is playing.
Yeah, Evans is playing, but they're down, and the way they got handled against the Rams, whose confidence is up, I think, after beating the Cardinals the way they did. I'm not so sure about Tampa winning that game, but yeah, this game, it was a no-brainer. Back to your point about Jalen Hurts, I hope they don't give up on him. It's too early. Like, you can't do that right now. The dude was 23 or 43, 258. Yeah, he had two picks and a touchdown, but when I see him play, I see leader, and I see a guy that just wants to get better. The team gravitates to him, all right, and he's just one of those guys that's going to put his head down and just go to work. And he's made for Philly. I think if you ask me, I think he's made for Philly.
Yeah, I agree with everything Mike said. And like you said, Richard, I don't think there's much to talk about this game. We all picked the Bucs and kind of went how we thought we kind of went how I thought it would go.
Yeah, you know, Sunday was a good day for me. This is my segue. Sunday, as a fan of, you know, the Giants NFC East rivalry, Sunday was a great day because you watch the Philadelphia Eagles get completely annihilated to start the day off. And then your midway game is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Dallas Cowboys.
You're welcome, bro. You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hand claps. Objectively speaking, I really thought the San Francisco 49ers were going to win this game. This is me objectively speaking. I thought, you know, they really know what they have in Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't want you to put the game on your back because you're not that guy. You know, like the dude in the video, you're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. You know, and no disrespect. You're good. You are a good quarterback. I would take Jimmy Garoppolo on my team as opposed to what I have now. But we just can't count on you in those big pressure moments. And he showed that with a big time interception that put Dallas back in the game. But what I really want to talk about is this was the most Cowboys loss I've seen. Like, this is literally just the way that they lost everything. Like, you know, you had in years past against Green Bay, was it a catch? Was it not a catch?
Right.
Kellen Moore decided it would be a good idea with 17 seconds left in the game to call a quarterback run. 17 seconds left. They actually do get the first down. And not only but the thing is they needed a touchdown to win the game. They would have still lost with a field goal. They get the first down, but the clock is running out. There's no more timeouts. They it's Mike McCarthy's fault for okaying it because the head coach has to give you the okays, even if you're the one running the offense. So the play call was asinine. It was stupid. But terrible clock management. The fact that you thought it was a good, because Mike McCarthy's supposed to be this great offensive mind too. That was the whole reason Green Bay brought him in with Brett Favre. You thought that was a good idea with 17 seconds left? You're supposed to air that thing out. You don't run the ball with 17 seconds left. So I'm sitting there smiling, and then Dallas fans over here getting mad at the officiating crew. Get mad at your coaching staff. Get mad at your quarterback for not calling the audible. What are y'all doing? What I really want to say is this is Dallas Cowboys football. This is who they have been. You know, the last time they were like good, like I haven't watched Cowboys winning. I was born in 1994. The last time they haven't, forget Super Bowl. They haven't been to they haven't sniffed a conference championship in almost 30 years. And this was supposed to be one of those rivalry games because it's the historic powers of the San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys. And if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't throw that interception, it's even like there was never no point of y'all even possibly winning the game. And what was honestly true about it is, and I want it to keep happening as a guy who despises the Cowboys, this is all comes down to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones fired. Now I'm putting y'all through a history lesson. Jerry Jones fired. What's my man's name? Y'all know him. He's a Cane. He was coach of the Canes.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson.
Jerry Jones fired Jimmy Johnson because he wasn't happy that Jimmy Johnson was getting the credit for those teams. Jimmy Johnson literally built those teams. He was picking the players. He was coaching them up. Did they win a Super Bowl after he fired Jimmy Johnson? Yes. Was that Jimmy Johnson's team that they still won a Super Bowl with? Yes. And Jimmy Johnson went on to have success with the Miami Dolphins after that. He brought in Bill Parcells. Same thing. Bill Parcells not going to go for this stuff where he has to just take it as it is and listen to you. This is the same guy that was like, you want me to cook the meal, I got to shop for the groceries.
Right.
So Jerry Jones has always been about, and I know I'm ranting here, I'm going to give it to you guys in a second. Jerry Jones has always been about Jerry Jones. Yes, this is his toy. He can play with it how he wants to. Everybody has to do what Jerry Jones says. Everybody has to feed Jerry Jones' ego. That's why Jason Garrett was there longer than he should have been. That's why Mike McCarthy was hired. Because Mike McCarthy should not, no disrespect, Mike McCarthy was a very good coach in the NFL. Mike McCarthy, the game has passed Mike McCarthy a long time ago. That's why Aaron Rodgers didn't want him in Green Bay anymore. Mike McCarthy should not be a head coach in the NFL, but he is, and he might get fired. But he is right now because that was the guy that was going to do everything that Jerry Jones said, and that's why they're in the position that they're in.
Mike, you can take it first.
I'm just laughing because like you said, first of all, I think one of my favorite teams to beat is the Dallas Cowboys. All right, as a Niner fan, because they gave us hell. There was a couple of playoff games there, early 90s, mid 90s, that they just could not get over the Dallas Cowboy hump. They finally do, and they win the Super Bowl in 1994. Cool, all right. But this one, like you said, Jimmy tried to give it away with the Garoppolo special. Didn't happen. But going back to your point about the play calling, call me crazy, all right? I don't think it was as terrible at first, yes. But when I go back and thinking about it, especially when I found out the rule about today, which Kellen Moore, your offensive coordinator, should know and should be in your quarterback's ear about. Listen, I'm going to call this quarterback sneak, okay? You have to get down before 10 seconds is left on the clock, because if you don't, there's no way that we're going to be able to spot it, especially if you get a first down. It's just not going to happen. That's what the rule states. I didn't know that. I wasn't completely against the call because it worked. It got a first down. I get it. There's no timeouts left and all of that stuff. But if your offensive coordinator knows the rule, he tells that to your quarterback, then maybe we have a different outcome. Because like you said, score 23-17. They needed a touchdown to win it. who knows? We've seen crazier things happen, but man, I don't know, man. I mean, you got to get CeeDee Lamb more than 5 targets in a game. He had 5 targets and 1 catch. Hold on, guys.
Well, good. Kay, did you want to add to the? Or unless Mike, you good to go?
I'm good. My bad. You got to get CeeDee Lamb more than 5 targets. Cedric Wilson, I don't even know who that is, had 10 targets and 5 catches. CeeDee Lamb had 1 catch. Amari had 10 targets and 6 catches. And I was listening earlier today. His contract situation may not be good for next year. Dalton Schultz 8 targets for Schultz, 7 receptions. That's you got to do better than that. These are your guys. You got to get CeeDee Lamb and Amari. And mind you, the Niners' weakness since their Super Bowl appearance in 2012, since their Super Bowl loss to the Ravens, their weakness on their defense has been their cornerbacks. Not even their secondary. Their cornerbacks have been trash, suspect. Their safeties have been great, but their cornerbacks just not cool. You got to do better than that, man. And something told me, I mean, look, 27, 10, and 1. The Niners ran the ball 38 times, all right? When the Niners get on a roll like that, running the ball, there's not many teams that can stop them. I'm going to say it now. I got a Rams-Niners NFC Championship game because I don't think the Bucs are going to get past the Rams, especially with that worst injury. And Aaron Rodgers does not want to see, even if it's at home, he does not want to see the Niners in the playoffs because he just can't beat them in the playoffs. He can't. He can't even beat them at home in the playoffs.
I am so ready for you when we make predictions. I'm so ready for you when we make predictions.
I think that's going to happen. You know, I won't be surprised the Niners lose because to me, the Packers have been the best team in the NFC all season. Honestly, they have been. But with the way that the Niners own the Packers in the playoffs, and if they get that running game going in the cold, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, this is one of the most Dallas things that could ever happen. When we made the predictions, I said that I thought history would be against them.
Speak on it.
I thought, what they say, what can go wrong will go wrong. I thought they'll be able to shake it. Obviously, they couldn't, and I think that quote just sums up everything that kind of happened. What can go wrong will go wrong. Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones, everyone is just keeping it going. So I thought they'd be able to shake history, and they couldn't, and that's kind of what happened here.
Respect to Dak Prescott, man, but at some point we got to talk about where he is when it comes to the rest of these quarterbacks. I think he's good, but I've seen a lot of people put him in tiers that I've never thought he belonged in, and I think specifically this year after he got his money, they proved it even more.
He's not a top 10 quarterback to me. You might have to put him in the top 10 by default because there's not that many great quarterbacks in the league, but I'm talking about quarterbacking, like being a quarterback that you want, like, okay, I need you to lead my team to the promised land or get me in field goal range for the last drive. He's not on my list.
No, I'm with you on that.
I agree.
To close out the Sunday night game right before we got into that last Monday night game, which I really want to talk about, the Kansas City Chiefs against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is, the ending of an era with Pittsburgh and Ben. The consensus is he's done, which we have kind of talked a little bit about this year very much. It was a beatdown, and I mean, what did you expect? Again, this was something we all picked Kansas City. I mean, Ben in his pre-presser during the week was saying that they didn't basically. I think he literally said they didn't have a chance, like they didn't belong or something like that, and they just got to come out and fight. That they were in over their heads. So they already had it in their heads that they were going to lose. So there was no chance for them to even compete here. And that's exactly what happened. 42-21, Kansas City wins, really run it up. You got on the Steelers side, Ben Roethlisberger, 29-44, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris rushing for 29 yards on 12 attempts. Benny Snell, 15 yards on 2 attempts. Receiving, James Washington, 37 yards, 1 touchdown. Deion Johnson, 34 yards, 1 touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster, 5 receptions on 26 yards. Chase Claypool, 3 receptions on 25 yards. And I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, we didn't even think was going to play in this game. They brought him out last minute to play. And I mean, it's just Ben stuck around longer than he should have. I personally believe that all 3 of those quarterbacks from the '04 class are going to the Hall of Fame. Ben is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is similar to Eli. He was never the best in the league at his position at any time in his career, but he's a 2-time Super Bowl champ, played in 3 Super Bowls. He, all-time great player, and kudos to him for being able to go out in the playoffs like this. But again, these guys were completely over their heads. On the Chiefs side, they were not playing games. Patrick Mahomes, 404 yards on 30 of 39, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Ready for this? Travis Kelce threw for 1 touchdown on 2 yards. Jerick McKinnon, 12 attempts, 61 yards rushing. Patrick Mahomes himself rushed for 29 yards on 3 attempts. Travis Kelce receiving. So not only did he throw a pass for a touchdown, ladies and gentlemen, he 108 yards on 5 receptions and 1 touchdown. So he threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown. Jerick McKinnon, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Demarcus Robinson, 76 yards, 4 receptions. Tyreek Hill, 5 receptions, 57 yards, 1 touchdown. Oh, man, excuse me. And, I mean, there's a couple other touchdowns, but that's it. But very, very similar to, Tampa and the Eagles. Not a lot to talk about here other than the end of an era and, setting up for probably the best or most entertaining divisional game next weekend.
Right.
Excuse me.
Basically, end of an era. Shout out my guy Big Ben. Like you said, there wasn't much to say here. I think we all picked the Chiefs, and I don't think we thought it would be too close. So kind of what we expected.
Oh, hold on. Got something in my ear. Let me mute it because.
Oh, good.
Man. All right. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, this is probably one of those teams that did belong in the playoffs. I mean, 9-7-1.
Can I cut you off for a second, Mike?
Go ahead.
This game pissed me off because I wanted the Chargers in this is exactly why I wanted the Raiders and Chargers to tie, because that would have been a way more entertaining game. Continue your point. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, how was it? What were the scenarios that Pitt needed to get into this game? They simply needed the Chargers to lose, right? Is that what it was?
All they needed was the Raiders. They needed one of those 2 teams to win, not end in a tie.
Wow, man. Yeah, this is one of those instances that you can clamor for the old playoff format, because Pittsburgh, they didn't look good all year long, man. I mean, look, Tomlin is a great coach. The guy hasn't had a losing season in his career, and I love him for that. Definitely going to be a Hall of Fame coach. He's one of only 3 Pittsburgh Steelers coaches in Steelers history. But, even this team that didn't look so good this season, they didn't belong in the playoffs, man. They didn't belong in the playoffs, I don't think. And then you go into KC, they knew they didn't have a chance. I'm surprised they put up 21 points, honestly. Ben threw the ball 44 times. I'm surprised his arm didn't fall off by halftime. And Mahomes, 404 yards on 39 passes. That's just, I don't know. But the game next week, I don't know. That's just going to be. And again, you look at the final score. I think both teams, because they knew they were gonna get past them, and they knew they were gonna play probably Buffalo. I think both teams are trying to make a point towards each other, because you look at the numbers that Buffalo put up, you look at the numbers that KC put up. So I think they're just trying to, puff their chest up a little bit.
I definitely think Buffalo's was more of a statement, because we knew Kansas City was going to do this. Nobody saw Buffalo doing that. And I mean, when we get to the predictions, I'm going to dive real deep, especially in the Buffalo. But, Kay, if you want to add anything to add on before we get into that Rams game.
Nah, I don't have much more to say after kind of what I said.
So yesterday, LA Rams, Arizona Cardinals. This is another one. I'm not gonna lie, I did not see that coming. I picked the Rams to win when we did the spaces on Twitter. I think didn't we all pick the Rams, or did anybody pick the?
I forgot who I picked. We should have wrote it down. I forgot who I picked.
I feel like we all picked the Rams.
Yeah, I feel
maybe
I feel like I picked the Rams, but I could be wrong.
I can't remember who I picked because it was a
Maybe
toss-up.
Mike might have picked Arizona, but I feel like we all picked the Rams. And anyway, man, people are really killing Cliff Kingsbury right now, and deservedly so. They're pulling up his record and just how once the season winds down, his teams wind down. They just completely go ice cold. Um, I want to start off by saying, for the people that are like, he doesn't deserve to, I was just talking to somebody about this on Twitter, that he doesn't deserve to be a head coach in the NFL. He was hired, and look. Were there more qualified candidates than Cliff Kingsbury? Yes. He was hired, and the Arizona Cardinals had the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. He specifically wanted Kyler Murray. He said, this is the guy. He's going to work great with what I want to do, and it's going to be a beautiful match made in heaven. I believe he also was like recruiting Kyler Murray to go to Texas Tech. So, it was kind of a long time coming thing. Their first year together, I don't know if you guys remember, they were already looking like a competitive team with those two. Second year, they almost won the division and went to the playoffs. You can argue that maybe he's not the guy for the job, depending on where your expectations for this team should be, if you're ownership and management in that building. But again, when you look at that rebuild, because they were a rebuilding team, you can't argue that. In 2 years, he took you to the playoffs as a rebuilding team. Number 1 pick in the draft, took you to the playoffs and almost won the division. So I don't agree with that statement at all. The statement about his teams just, kind of number 2 in the bed at the end of the season is completely true. And I don't know if the moment was too big for Kyler Murray, but he didn't play well at all. No touchdowns. 2 interceptions, 19 to 34 for 137 yards. Very bad. They didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, which was he plays a huge part in their passing game, but they're really more known as a rushing team, and they were just completely gone on that front.
To the point about people saying that Cliff Kingsbury doesn't deserve to be an NFL coach, I think that's complete BS, because you look at the way that the league has been trending, and it's been trending towards wide open offenses, which he runs. Okay. And so that, number one, I get it, no experience. Okay, fine. But people want to think that old school route and whatever. It's 2022. All right. He got hired, 2 years ago, whatever. That ain't it. People want to win. And look, you can't go, because his regular season record is great. And some coaches just have playoffs is a different animal. So sometimes you got to get adjusted to that, acclimated. You got to take your lumps, and okay. But they had the first pick. They had the quarterback for that first pick. They picked them, and they've been doing great, and they've been adding pieces to that. They added Hopkins. They added what's his name from the Texans? I'm sorry.
But they added Hopkins. They added AJ Green.
AJ Green, and they also added
Watt, the defensive guy. Watt. Yeah. And he played.
And now, right. And then his press conference had me wanting to cry. Like, it was really depressing. That dude, man, that's a football player. That's a guy that loves his craft, and you got to admire that. But the Rams, man, they, on the other hand, are built for the playoffs. Like, you look at what they did in terms of getting, Odell, and they're doing this minus Robert Woods, who tore his ACL right before Odell signed, or right after he signed. I can't remember what it was, but it was right there. Von Miller, they picked him up for the playoffs. You're talking about one of the most dominating and premier pass rushers ever. All right. He had a good game. Their backfield is loaded. And I don't care what era of football you're in, if it's 2020 or 1920, you need to run the ball to win. With Sony Michel and Cam Akers, they're going to be able to do that. Matthew Stafford just has to not mess it up. And their defense is there, man. They got home. You said they're at home against the Bucs, right? Listen, man, I know the Niners are they're actually Kyle Shanahan is 6-0 against Sean McVay. But this is a team that may be, and you as a Giants fan, sometimes it's not about how good you look throughout the regular season, but how good you look towards the playoffs, like when you get hot at the right time. So maybe they're doing that. I have no idea. But I was a little shocked at this outcome, because I thought it was going to be closer. Again, I can't remember who I picked. But it was a toss-up, I know that. And 34-11, man, I think the Rams, they we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how they look because I'm not ready. Well, I did make my prediction, but I won't be surprised Brady pulls one off because I mean Brady knows how to win shorthanded, but we'll see.
I'm not I'm not I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not betting. I mean, again, I don't want to touch predictions until we get there. But this Rams team, especially right now, looks like they're hitting on all. They look like they were in the beginning of the year, and then they literally got all these crazy like, how did anybody let them do what they did as far as getting these acquisitions? You brought up Von Miller, and the trade they didn't even have to give up much to get him.
Yeah.
They mortgaged their future to bring in Matthew Stafford, who I've always said is a top tier quarterback. He's just had the unfortunate pleasure of having to play for the Detroit Lions. That's why we don't talk about him enough. Cooper Kupp is out here setting records left and right all season. Then you add Odell Beckham Jr. And when they first got Odell, I'm like, I don't expect him to do much because it's a mid-season acquisition, and quarterback and wide receiver got to get on the same page. That's usually something that's done in the offseason. That's why Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford has such a good rapport, because they had worked together all offseason, all summer. But they really seem like they're on the same page. Odell Beckham Jr. is back to being what he used to be, and I never thought he was gone. You know, he was at one point was arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league. This is the best quarterback he's played with in his career because he got Eli Manning on the back burner of Eli Manning. He didn't really get Eli Manning. Mm-hmm. He got Eli Manning on the back burner of his career. Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield is one of those guys that's good, not great. Odell Beckham had more touchdowns in like a couple weeks with the Rams than he's had in 3 years with the Cleveland Browns. He shout out to him, looked way better in this playoff game than he did last time I seen him in the playoffs. I'm still salty about that.
It's because they didn't go to Miami.
He's going to have a good I think that's like going to have a good playoff.
This team is crazy. This team is crazy. I think at bare minimum, they're NFC Championship. I can't see them with the way they look right now. And you don't need Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford can put the game on his shoulders. But the way that Sean McVay is running things was a lot similar to how he was running things with Jared Goff. Just do what you do. Mm-hmm. We don't need you to play hero ball. We'll ask you to play hero ball if we need you because we know you're capable of that. But we don't need that right now. And if that's the case, especially with Tampa's not looking that great right now on both sides of the ball. Yes, they got Tom Brady. The Rams... Nah, man. The Rams going to NFC Championship. But I'm over here making my predictions. I'll dig more into that later. But, yeah, this is what I saw from that game was just the Rams looking like how I thought the Rams were supposed to look all year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, let's get into predictions now. What's next? I think that's all the games, right?
Yeah, all right. So let's let me pull the app up because I want to go in order of when the games do start. So let's go to divisional round. Me and Mike going to debate a little bit on this one. So Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central Time on CBS, we got the Bengals versus the Titans. Gentlemen, I am tempted to pick the Cincinnati Bengals to go to the AFC Championship. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I think this is going to be a game, though. I think this is going to be a game. Is Derrick Henry playing? Can anybody tell if Derrick Henry's playing? Okay. Titans going back to the AFC Championship. But I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I think Joe Burrow is going to continue to open eyes. Jamar Chase is going to keep doing his thing. I'm expecting big things from the Bengals, but I think youth will play a factor in this game, and the Titans will move on.
It definitely can, and I don't blame you for that because I'm big on that. But I'm going to tell you one thing. If the Titans get down 10, 13 points, they're not going to win this game because they're not built to come from behind.
That's
Especially
true.
With Ryan Tannehill. I don't care what type of revival he's had in Tennessee with Julio Jones and whatever and all of that stuff. That is not the quarterback that people made him out to be for the past year or two or whatever, because he's still the same guy. All right. He just has he has a machine and a Terminator behind him at running back. That's why he looks so good, and a damn good defense. All right. You guys put most people put 8 in the box, and Derrick Henry still ran for 2,000 yards last year. All right, you put 8 in the box, you know what that means? You got one safety and one-on-one on the outside. My grandmother can make that throw. That's why Tannehill has looked so good. If they get down 10 points, 13 points, they're done. And they can get down 10 or 13 points because we talked about this last week. Joe Burrow and teams like this, they got nothing to lose. They're not supposed to be here. And they're young, they're wide-eyed, whatever. You don't think Burrow's going to want to try to sling the ball around to his buddy Jamar Chase? So my prediction, I'm gonna go Cincinnati. I'm gonna go Cincinnati. My heart says Tennessee, but I'm gonna go Cincinnati. I think they're gonna get out big, and especially if they get out ahead 10, 13 points, I feel sorry for Tennessee because they are going to be predictable and they're going to be made a passing team, and Tannehill cannot rock like that. I'm gonna go Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Obviously, I think that the thing with the Titans has always been they can't get down. They're not a team that's built to come back, and then if they get down, it's going to be an issue. Kind of what Rich said about youth. I think if the Bengals come out there with their youth and get out to like an early start and play well, Tennessee is in trouble. But I don't think they're going to be able to stop Derrick Henry back there, and I'm going to stick with the Titans.
But I just want to add, I never thought Tannehill was a garbage player in the league, like ever, even in Miami. I mean, he did bring the Dolphins to a playoff appearance. He played for Adam Gase. Come on. Can we give him that? Can we give him that?
Yeah, you can, but
Adam Gase, dog. But you seen him under a different system. I think that helped. That helped. He had ability and things like that. I still don't know if I put him in the upper echelon, but I think he did get better because be having to get away from what he was dealing with. And he stepped up when the Titans needed him to, when Derrick Henry was lost, So it's another part of the read. Like he can step up when they need them to. I think Tennessee has a nice thing going on offense with, Tannehill being who he's got to be when they need him to. Not that he's a guy that you can win us this game. Like you know what I mean. Like he's not no Aaron Rodgers type guy, but he's good. So I am tempted to see how Henry looks coming back from the injury, but nonetheless, I think it's going to be a good game. I hope it is, especially after this past weekend. But, I got to stick with the Titans based on that stuff.
And again, so this is the first game that Harry's going to have played in God knows how long, right? If they want to force feed him 30 like they should, the bell cow. I mean, the guy's like 300 pounds, 8 feet tall. He's a machine. I don't know if he can hold that type of a load right now, fresh off of his first game back. We all know the game of football, and it's the playoffs. Every hit is that much harder. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. You know what I'm saying? They're going to want to put him down. So we'll see. 4:30 game. We'll see.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see. I think, like you said, Mike, I think youth and nothing to lose is like a bad mixture for them, especially for a team that is going to be tough from if they get down to coming back. So I think the Bengals have something on their side is youth and nothing to lose. So I think that mixture together can, especially in a one-game elimination, like if it was like a series, eventually the better team will win. But in a one-game situation where it's like, okay, we just we're young, we got nothing to lose, I could see it happen.
Yeah, I liken this to like Buffalo making the AFC Championship game last year because they probably shouldn't have been there. Maybe they're a year or two early. So I liken it to that situation.
I agree. And while I'm picking the Titans to win this game and go to the AFC Championship, I want to premise that with saying that the Titans should be on upset alert. Everybody should be on upset alert. Like it has that potential, but I'm locked in on the Titans moving forward.
Okay.
To that game. Now, time to debate because Mike is a 49ers fan and he was already alluding to it that he is going with the 49ers. He had a lot of things to say about Aaron Rodgers cannot beat the San Francisco 49ers and things like that. Not true. Happened in the regular season this year. Number one. Number two, in Lambeau Field in January, it gets cold. Me and Kayson are from New York. We know what cold is. but we have never experienced cold. Well, let me not say that. Let me not say that because I lived in Nebraska for a year, so I know what Midwest cold is, and I Giants fan never will forget how red Tom Coughlin's face was when they when
Yeah.
they beat the Green Bay Packers to go to the
Yeah.
2007 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Dude was icy up in there.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
it gets cold. This since the beginning, I have always maintained, and Kayson has agreed. Mike, I haven't really got too much of your take on this. It's always with everything Aaron Rodgers did and went through this offseason, it's felt like a last dance type of
Oh
thing.
yeah. Yeah.
Last dance type of thing. And it's the last hoorah. We got to get this Super Bowl. So, and 2 years, when me and Kayson started this thing, were we going on 2 years now?
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3. Shout out to us, man. We talked that we had a segment a bunch of years ago when we first started about how the good quarterbacks can get you one. The great quarterbacks have at least 2 rings. And Aaron Rodgers is this supremely talented. We've never seen anything. We talk about Mahomes, but I think Mahomes is the sequel. This is Aaron Rodgers, the original. One of the most. We've never seen anything like him as a thrower, moving outside the pocket. And you could put him in any position and he makes your team better. With all that being said, he's only got 1 ring. He's only played in 1 Super Bowl. I think I'm killing because I am a Rodgers fan a little bit. Maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot, but I really think I think the stars are aligning for this one. Everything had to happen. I don't care who they play. Personally, I think it's going to be them and the Rams in the NFC Championship. The Packers, I'm going ahead. The Packers will win this game because, number one, your quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo will do a Jimmy Garoppolo thing at least once in this game. And the opposing quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. So while the defense, first of all, I don't expect Bosa to play in this game. That's going to hurt them a ton, even though San Francisco's front is still dangerous. For them to win this game, they have to get to Rodgers, which they're still capable of doing. And you have to hope that your quarterback doesn't make mistakes. And you're playing a team coming off a bye at home in supremely cold temperatures, possibly super windy. I can't see both of those stars aligning.
You want to know why Aaron Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl? Because he's played by Niners in the playoffs about 4 or 5 times and lost every single time. Okay, that's number one. And we're going back to Harbaugh years. They beat him this year. And if I'm not mistaken, that game came down to the last drive.
Wasn't it in San
Francisco? Monday Night Football? Huh?
Wasn't it in San Francisco though?
I think it was in San Francisco. I think it was a Sunday night or Monday night game, and Aaron Rodgers did his last drive to win it. One of those things. Yes, you are absolutely right that my boy Jimmy can throw a Garoppolo special in there, just like he tried to do on Sunday, and give one away. But if the temperatures are as frigid as they are predicted to be at 8:15 p.m. at the frozen tundra, like how you talk about with Midwest cold is different. And if it's as windy as you say that it's going to be, or whatever, if it's windy, you gotta tip your hand to the team that doesn't throw the ball as much. All right, I'm not saying that the Pack can't run the ball. I'm not saying that, but that's not their MO. When you have,
You got Aaron Jones over there. Yeah, they can run the ball.
But you got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback
and Devontae Adams.
Exactly. So I'm trying to throw the ball more. I'm trying to throw the ball more. Huh?
They got to do that though. They'll throw it, but they got a monster in the backfield too.
They do, and the Niners front 7 is monster too. So we'll see. But my other part is this: like like I said, been telling you, or like I said earlier in the show, the Niners' weakness in their defense is their cornerback play, and it's been like that since they lost to the Ravens in the Super Bowl. They have yet to rectify that situation, and it pains me that they haven't. So, this is not like the Titans game that if the if the Packers get down, they won't be able to come back. That's not like that. But if the Niners the Niners can do this to any team in the NFL. If they grind it out, if they get up and they get rolling, they've done it to defenses that are well respected throughout the league. They did it in Week 10 when they played at home against the Rams when they ran the ball like 44 times. If they get that train rolling, it's going to be tough because in that Week 10 victory against the Rams, they held the ball for 39 minutes. Okay, you're going to want to do that. They're going to want to do that, obviously. So, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's going to have to not throw the ball away. All right, he's going to have to play smart. All right, the Niners are going to have some type of semblance of a passing game because you can't be one-dimensional. But I'm trying my hard, and I also say this: the Pack to me have been the best team in the NFC all season long. All right. That being said, I'm gonna put my prediction off until Kayson talks because I have no idea who I'm gonna
pick. You know what? I'm kind of on the fence with it too, and I kind of want to go the 49ers, but the Packers have kind of been a lock for the the conference championship game. They're there every year. That's usually where they kind of fall off at. So that's kind of throwing me off where I'm like, eh. If it was like the conference championship, I'd be like, I think I'm going 49ers. So I'm kind of on the fence too. But I think I'm going to go Packers. It's just something about them and getting to that conference championship game that I think they're going to get it. But I think when they get to that conference championship, that's when things are up in the air for them.
Yeah, we can have a conversation about that one when it happens because I think it's going to be the Rams and it's going to be. I mean, we're actually going to get into that one next, but I think it's going to be the Rams and that's the case to knock them off. What did Jay-Z once say? I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. Aaron Rodgers, Lambeau Field. Them conditions ain't phasing nothing, baby. It's too much going on. Like I'm expecting the Jimmy Garoppolo special. Jimmy is gonna be a big reason why y'all don't win this game.
If they throw the ball a lot, yes.
They have to. That's why this is exactly why San Francisco didn't win the Super Bowl the last time they were there. Because you have to throw the ball.
I'm going to have to argue with you on that because Tyrann Mathieu even said, I don't know why they stopped running the ball. Because if they would kept running the ball, we would have lost. And they ran the ball They ran the ball a lot during that Super Bowl game. And so
why did they run the ball a lot?
Because it was working. They couldn't get stopped. They couldn't stop it.
It was working, but
they couldn't stop it. Casey didn't have a good defense that year, really.
But they never have. But they stuck to the ground for a reason. They don't trust him throwing the ball.
And you want to know what? I think that this Jimmy Garoppolo narrative about him not being clutch, you saw him be clutch against the Rams in the last game of the season, all right? Or the second last game of the season. We saw that.
They had to dig deep to get back in that game, though.
Okay, fine. But I think, you want to know why I think Jimmy gets his background from or what people like to think of him as? Because of one bad throw in that Super Bowl when he overthrew, I forgot who it was. Emmanuel Sanders. All right. I've seen Jimmy at least 3 times pull out comeback victories. One of them was against a Drew Brees-led Saints team the year that they went to the Super Bowl. But I get why people say that because that's the biggest moment and the biggest game and, this and that. So, okay, fine. He made his bed, whatever. I'm going to come out with my pick. I'm going to say the pick. You referenced it as a last dance type of thing, last hurrah, whatever. Michael Jordan type thing. Aaron Rodgers ain't Mike, bro. Aaron Rodgers ain't Mike. I'm trying my best to not make this a homework pick, but I'm going to go with the Niners. I'm going to go with the Niners in a really close game. I'm going to say a 1-point game.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. I want to come at you and say you're being biased, but I'm also like, but legitimately though, the Niners are a legit team. I never wavered on them being a playoff team that could make a run. I still think that they're a well-oiled machine. I think what they dealt with a ton of injuries last year.
The last 2 years, man. Last 2 years. And if Boza doesn't play, then I significantly I have the right to change my pick if he doesn't play. Let me put that out there.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. Look, man, it's gonna be one. I shout out to the NFL that we ended with the 2 fire games for the weekend, but this is definitely gonna be it's in prime time Saturday night. I'm at that age where I gotta save money anyway, so I'm gonna be inside. You know, kind of what y'all young people say. I'm outside. I'm inside. You know, I'm inside, and I'm gonna be watching this game. And I'm going. We got me, Mike, and Kayson got a group chat going. I'm gonna be in that chat Saturday night late. All right, I might be off some stuff now, so I might, I could be talking something, but we'll get to it when we get to it, man. We'll get to it when we get to it. Next game on the horizon would be
3:00 Sunday. Rams at Tampa.
Rams at Tampa. Last time we saw the Rams play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it wasn't pretty. I'm expecting more of that because the Rams are a better team now than they were when they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers earlier in the season. I think that I don't think that, I think the world of Todd Bowles is a defensive mind, but I don't know if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the exact personnel to deal with what Sean McVay and the Rams are going to throw at them. So I think that Matthew Stafford's going to eat. I think that Odell Beckham Jr. is going to eat. I think Cooper Kupp is going to eat. And every time Tom Brady has lost is because you were able to touch him. Like beat them twice in the Super Bowl largely on, and even though I still, contest that they don't win those Super Bowls without Eli Manning because he did amazing. He made 2 of the most clutchest and big time throws in Super Bowl history twice. But nonetheless, the Giants got to him every time they played those games. The Eagles, when they beat them, they were able to touch him. They got to him. The Rams' defensive front is historically great. You got Von Miller. You have Aaron Donald, who's arguably the greatest defensive player of all time. I don't argue for that. I'm an LT guy. But regardless, he's in that conversation. I don't care who's in front of Tom Brady. Tom Brady's getting touched. Tom Brady's getting touched, and I actually don't expect this game to be I don't think that it's going to be what we saw this weekend. Like the score, I don't think the score is going to get run up, but I don't expect I don't think we're going to watch this game and say the Rams are in danger of losing. My personal opinion.
I think I can see what you're saying. I think it may come down to a late drive. But I see the Rams being up, and then Tom Brady and the Bucs trying to make a late drive to come back. I don't think it'll be successful, and I think the Rams end up coming out with the win. But I think the Rams, kind of to what you're saying, will be in control for most of the game. But the Bucs will be hanging around until kind of late, and they'll have that last drive where it just doesn't work out for them, and the Rams end up winning.
If it does end up being close towards the end, then yeah, I can see Tampa Bay pulling it off, and they just need the defense to dig in or whatever. But that Brandon Wirfs injury, that's big time. Okay, they're talking about him being a down to the wire decision, and if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. Do you really want that up against? Say again. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to agree with what you was about to say.
Yeah, I mean, do you really want that up against Von Miller? Because Von Miller could come from either side of the line, you know what I'm saying? And if I know I have an injured Brandon Wirfs protecting, I can't remember if he's a left or right tackle. I don't have enough Von Miller on him each time.
You don't want to pick your poison in that either. Because, all right, if you can keep him away from Von Miller, you still got to deal with Aaron Donald.
Right, and Donald lines up inside and outside. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. And then,
Jalen Ramsey's also in the secondary. We didn't mention that either.
We didn't mention that. Miller, and then their front seven is solid. The back is solid, and then they play good complementary football. So because Stafford, I'm not gonna say he has a little bit of Jimmy Garoppolo in him, but he's had his brain farts throughout the year. I get he was with the Lions and the only guy on the team and whatever. he has a lot more balance now. All right. He has a running game. He has receivers. Cooper Kupp has been the best receiver all year in football. They just are the more complete team. And you even said it. They're better than they were. They're better now than they were when they first played in what was it, like week 3, I think. So to me, it should be the Rams winning. All right. And I think they should win. I'm gonna call them a 10-point. They're going to win by a minimum of 10 points. That's how I think it's going to be. The only way that they lose this game is if Brady has just one of those Brady-like nights where he's just on fire, magical. The guy doesn't get touched. And to your point, you say he's going to get touched, not if he's releasing the ball at 1.8 seconds, because they had him on the clock. You know, his release time, he's getting rid of the ball quick. That's why he's playing at 40-something years old, because he doesn't get hurt. He doesn't take sacks. And so those Super Bowl losses, they happened because the Giants got to him and Philly got to him rushing 4 guys. They didn't have to bring that 5th guy. They did it rushing 4. The Rams can do that. And I think it's going to happen, man. They bring that 5th guy, it's going to be over with. I got the Rams.
All right. Kay, did you make your pick?
Yeah, I said I'm taking the Rams in a close one.
All right, cool. So saving the best for last. Probably got to be the most entertaining game of the weekend. Bills Chiefs. I'm gonna say it straight up. The Chiefs are gonna win this game. It's gonna be entertaining as hell. It's gonna be one of those like you're almost there, but it's gonna be a great game. You almost there, but you're just not quite there.
Yeah.
A big reason why I'm taking the Chiefs to win this game. It's very maybe I could just be eating my words at the end of the day. The Bills are super inconsistent. Like if they're playing how they played last weekend, they could win the Super Bowl. But I don't know if you're gonna come out and do that. You know, like they've played not like so bad at times that I've questioned if Josh Allen is back to what we thought he was coming out of the draft, you know. But when they look like how they do last weekend, I'm like, this dude is one of the premier quarterbacks in the league, you know. So personally, I expect it to be a shootout. I expect it to be a hell of a game. Both teams have great complementary weapons on offense. Defense, not so much. What I think could work to Kansas City's advantage is Steve Spagnuolo's the defensive coordinator over there, and me just being, you know, pretty in tune with a Spags defense because he put the Giants a bunch of years back. They really hit on all cylinders as the season moves forward. So I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be entertaining. Going with Kansas City.
I'm going with Kansas City too. I actually don't think it's going to be as entertaining. I think Kansas City may come out, and not a blowout, but I think that they'll win this. They'll win it handily. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Kansas City, and like I said, I think they'll win it, like not a blowout, but handily.
I think the moment's going to be too big for Buffalo. And I know that they wanted to come out and made a statement against New England. In my opinion, they did that to say, hey, Chiefs, we're coming. You know what I'm saying? But it's like they're playing in the wrong era. You know what I mean? Like the past couple of years, arguably, Mahomes has been the best quarterback in the NFL. And they're in the wrong era. Like the Rockets were in the wrong era in the 90s. The Knicks were in the wrong era in the 90s. They went up against Jordan, you know, Utah, wrong era. This is kind of like the same thing. We're playing at KC. Josh Allen's a great quarterback. He's way better than I thought he was going to be in his 3rd, 4th year in the league. Props to that for shutting me up. Cool. But I just think much like the Rams, they're a different team. The Rams are a different team much more so because of their acquisitions that they've made. The Chiefs more so because they just gotten better. At first, at the beginning of the season, it seemed like teams had figured them and that offense out. And they said, hold my beer, hold up. And they just progressively have gotten better and better and better and better. And I think they have picked up their stride. And I think it's gonna be them playing in the AFC Championship game. And Buffalo, I just think the moment's gonna be too big. Much like in the Tennessee-Cincinnati game, if Kansas City gets up big, Buffalo, I'm not saying they can't come from behind because they can, but you know it's gonna turn into one of those things where they trust Josh Allen. This is a guy that can play in the elements, big arm, body kind of guy, and he could run the ball. They're going to have him slinging the thing all over the place, and I think it's just going to be they're going to be too one-sided if that's the case. But I got KC by at least 10. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I can see it being a blowout. But that's not my initial reaction. I got KC by 10.
All right, cool, man. Let's lock those picks in. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. Can't wait to talk about it next Tuesday. Let's get into some hoops, gentlemen. Mike, I always have to steal that one from the old show, man. That might become a staple.
That's fine, man. It ain't mine, bro. Go ahead.
I wanted to, because when we did the spaces, and I don't know why I never thought of it up until this point, but I really wanted to debate you on this with the young teams don't last in the league.
Okay.
So I wanted to kick off the hoop session of the show with it, because we don't really debate much on this show. You know, we outside of like we're making these picks now and stuff, but we usually just throw our takes out there and move forward. So it's always nice to have a good debate.
Let's do it.
So Mike, you're on the standpoint that young teams don't win in this league. You know, you can't build a young team to win championships in this league, correct?
With the exception, I've always said that with the exception of the Warriors, because they're the only team that I've seen build through the draft, stick together, and win it all. But other than that, yes, these young teams after that rookie contract, they're done. That's how I feel.
All right, Kay, because this is going to be a little debate, without giving me your reasoning, do you disagree or agree with the statement?
I slightly disagree, but to his point, history has shown that it usually doesn't work out. Because I would say the Thunder would have worked out if they didn't trade away James Harden. So that's not like a young thing not working out. But to his point, history has shown that it doesn't work. So like I slightly disagree, but like the facts are the facts. You get what I say?
All right, cool. Now I'm going to give y'all historical facts. So I disagree with Mike. 80s Celtics, 80s Lakers. That team, for the most part, was built through the draft. Kareem, they did not draft him. That is correct.
Wait, hold on. Let me stop this for a second. Is it building through the draft or young teams?
You're young. It's the same thing. You know, a young team won't win a champ. They need time to develop. But the point is, if you have a collective young talent, they won't win together, right?
Well, yeah, like I've always said, the way I say it and the way I have it in my head is like, and I like using this example, like the Clippers when they had D. Miles, Q Richardson, Keon Dooling, they drafted all those dudes, and they were awesome to watch. Didn't win it. You know what I'm saying? Who else was young that we liked? The Thunder example, even though, like you said, they traded Harden. Who else? It just doesn't happen. The nucleus of teams that are built through drafts, they don't stay together and win.
All right. Well, I was gonna say in recent memory, we haven't. No, I'm not even gonna say that. Because I'll give you like the Sacramento Kings. I remember watching them just collect a bunch of young talent, and I'm like, oh, they'll be good in a couple years, and that's not happening. They're still in the lottery. You know, some of those guys aren't playing that team anymore. But I mean, you look at a team like Memphis. You know, they're taking steps forward each year. That's completely drafted talent right there. Most of the guys on that team.
Yeah.
But I want to, and let's get Kay. What were you going to add to it?
See, because I think it's kind of a different topic, because if the young talent stays together, I think eventually you can build through the draft if the young talent stays together. So I don't think that it's like not possible. But if you say like building through the draft and giving it like a 5-year time span or 6-year time span, I don't think that's going to work. Like, even if you take the Golden State example, they built through the draft, but that took a lot of time for it to happen. Like Golden State, they built through the draft, but like it was like year 7, year 8 for Curry, before they finally won it. So like you can build through the draft and win, but it's got to be a slow process.
Yeah, but the point being is, can you win building through the draft, right?
When those guys become veterans, yeah.
Yeah, but like nothing else to it. Just yes or no. Can you win building through the draft?
Yeah, in that sense, as long as I got the time to let them be who they're going to become, yeah.
I'm gonna give you the examples why I wanted to debate Mike on this. Let's go. And I'm going through straight history now. Let's go through it. 80s Celtics, Lakers. I'll go through the Celtics first. Danny Ainge, if I'm correct, drafted
by the Celtics.
Yeah. Larry Bird, Celtics draft. Robert Parrish, if I'm correct, drafted Celtics. Kevin McHale, drafted Celtics. Couple championships.
Can I make another point to what you're about to say? Sorry, I keep cutting you off. But like,
I was going to go Lakers next.
Yeah, because also in those times you had to win building through the draft. There wasn't too much trading going on. There wasn't too much player movement going on. At that time, you kind of had if you wasn't building through the draft, you just wasn't good.
Okay. I feel that. I'm just giving the examples, because we can go to the Lakers. Kareem, not drafted. Okay, they traded to get Kareem. Magic Johnson, drafted.
Worthy.
I don't know if Cooper was drafted by the.
I think Cooper.
I'm not sure.
Cooper was a Laker.
I think James Worthy was drafted by them too.
James Worthy was drafted by the Lakers, number one overall. It's crazy to me that back then you could be really good and have the number one overall pick. But I digress. Majority drafted. Bad boy Pistons, the Detroit Pistons, the forgotten team. Isaiah Thomas, drafted. Joe Dumars, drafted. What's the big man's name?
Lambeer.
Bill Lambeer, drafted. Dennis Rodman, drafted.
What's the microwave? What was his name? Vinny
Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson, drafted. What's the other dude's name? Damn, he actually played. He has a couple championships, but he was a Detroit guy. Like he actually played for the Bulls at one point.
Dennis Rodman.
Sally.
John Sally drafted.
Didn't they draft Dennis Rodman too?
Yeah, I mentioned Dennis.
You said him.
You're a Bulls fan. Michael Jordan drafted. Scottie Pippen drafted. Tony.
But they weren't young. But they weren't young when they won. I mean, yeah, okay. I guess you're saying
through the draft. Like I said,
building through the draft. Yeah,
if you give it time, yes.
I had more.
I need more research.
The Houston Rockets, two-time NBA champions. Hakeem Olajuwon drafted. Kenny Smith drafted.
I think Sam Cassell was drafted by them too. Sam Cassell was drafted by them.
Was Vernon Maxwell drafted by them?
I think Maxwell was drafted by them too.
Maxwell was drafted by them. We mentioned the Golden State Warriors.
All right.
I feel like this player movement, we've seen it less. But my whole thing is if you give it the time, obviously you got to bring free agents and veterans in, but drafting your core group, you can't, based on examples, you can win through the draft.
I need to get at your point a little bit. You got to give me something in the last 20 years besides the Spurs, because we know the Spurs.
That won.
Even made it to a conference finals. That even was a contender, I guess. Because a lot of great teams don't win.
We said the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Toronto Raptors were, believe it or contrary to popular belief, they were, even though we never picked them to win, they were contenders in the East.
Kyle Lowry wasn't drafted by them. Lowry wasn't drafted by them.
Other guys were.
DeRozan and who else?
I gotta go back and look at those rosters.
Yeah, because the core was really DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry wasn't drafted by them.
Yeah.
Even though they're kind of falling flat a little now, the Celtics had that little window where they went to 2 conference finals.
But were they really contenders? Even when they went to those conference finals, we're like, they're young, they'll be there. But
I think
we didn't.
You can say the same thing about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Nah, the Thunder were real contenders.
Okay, I got one for you right now. The Denver Nuggets.
Right.
Carmelo's Denver Nuggets. Who else was drafted by them?
No, this current Denver Nuggets team.
Oh, current. Oh.
Just to get to a conference championship. The Denver Nuggets, current Denver Nuggets.
And they got to a conference, 2 years ago?
But
yeah.
That's
all that they drafted the Joker. They drafted Murray.
But were they real contenders though? Like they got to the conference championship, but were they real
conference finals?
But were they real contenders though?
That's like Portland making it to the Western Conference
Yeah,
Finals.
it's like
was
they
gonna
got
say
there.
Portland too, but that was their peak. That was their peak, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like we expected the Nuggets to be contenders right now. Like if everyone didn't get hurt. Back then it was kind of like a young team that made a good run, but
Yeah,
they
but
were
they
never like
were making
serious
runs. But
contenders.
they were making runs. They were a playoff team the previous year. They had been climbing year after year.
And who they play in that playoff run? They played the Jazz in the first round. That's for the Jazz were like the Jazz that they are now. And then who they played in the second round?
Solid though. Don't disrespect them like that.
They had what?
The Jazz was solid even back then.
Yeah,
They have a high-powered offense now, but they were solid back then. They were already a second-round team in Donovan Mitchell's first year.
they were like a 7 seed.
But they made Donovan Mitchell's rookie season. They made it to the second round.
They were
Who was
never
it that
like what?
they upset OKC in the first round. That's what they upset.
But I'm
The
saying
Jazz, yeah.
now the Jazz are contenders. You would put them like in a contender realm, kinda. Back then, no one expected like if the Jazz made it to the conference finals, you would have been like, "This is like their peak." You know what I mean? Like they wasn't like who they are now.
What year was that?
That was the bubble. That was 2020. That was the bubble. I don't know who they played in the second round.
Okay, you're talking about the run. You're talking about the run where they went to the conference finals.
Oh, they played the Clippers in the second round. That Clipper team. That's a good win. That's a good series win. But that team was like, as we know,
they were
now,
up 3-1.
Yeah,
weren't the Clippers up 3-1?
Yeah, they're known to be chokers in the playoffs now.
3-1 lead.
The Nuggets, yeah, sure, they built in the draft.
Lost to the Lakers, the eventual champs, in 6 games.
I thought it was 5. They lost in 5.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It was
6.
They won in 6 games. The Lakers beat them in 6 games.
The Nuggets slightly, yeah. They're getting there. Everyone, you gotta see how health works out for them. But I can see like the story's not out. The story's not done with them. So we'd have to see more from them.
I got you right now, and I already know that y'all are still gonna bring up the free agents, but I don't care. The Milwaukee Bucks just won a championship. All right, now I take it back. Forget it. Never mind.
No.
I was thinking they drafted Chris Middleton, but he was
traded. I was about to give it to you. I forgot he was traded. You had me there. I'm like, okay, let me start thinking. I thought he was there. I forgot what Detroit drafted him, right? Second round, traded him.
He might have been picked up in a free agency from the draft.
Yeah,
like he was an undrafted free agent.
Okay. I know he was in Detroit though.
Yeah.
Damn, you might have got me. Yeah. Now I mean Giannis. They drafted a superstar. That's how that goes.
Yeah. But I get it. I get it. I feel if you want to lower it, because my whole thing coming in, I really thought I had ammo when I started bringing up those old teams.
That is good ammo. That is great ammo. Shots fired. But like at that time, that's what it was. So it's like it's hard to argue with that. Like every team was built through the draft. So it's like if we thinking about that.
I just still stand by like. And that's not to say that they won't stick together, but even that, like, that just doesn't happen. Like look at T-Mac and Vince. T-Mac wanted to shine on his own. He's like, man, like I could thrive on my own.
I still think that's one of the stupidest things T-Mac ever did.
Yeah, man. Like it was terrible. Like he wanted to shine on his own, and if that would have happened, like, oh my God, that would have been the best wing combo probably would have ever seen. Like at least offensively and defensively too, because T-Mac could lock you up, but like, you know, guys just want to move on, make their money. And now with free agency being as crazy as it is, like, you know, a $200 million contract is, you know, almost the norm. But I just still feel like for a team to be drafted, or a nucleus of a team to be drafted and stick together for as long as it takes throughout that, like look at the Sixers process. You know what I'm saying? Embiid is there. They just got through. Ben Simmons probably may not be there anymore. Like it's gonna take.
There's no way in hell Ben Simmons is a Sixer moving forward.
It's gonna take 6, 7, 8 years if they stick together to win one, and then you're gonna need more veteran help at that point. At that point, you're veterans, but you're gonna need that veteran help because that team, that Golden State, and the first time they won it, what was it, 15, 16, whatever it was, they still needed guys like Barbosa, David Lee, so on and so forth to win. Iguodala.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I don't disagree.
not to Rich,
No,
to your point, I think you can draft a core. I guess that's the point you were making. You can draft the star players, but eventually you may have to trade some of the lower pieces to get the veteran help around them. But I guess you can. You can because the Nuggets. I'll give you the Nuggets. I can see because the Nuggets, if everyone's healthy, they'll be contenders at this point. Joker's the MVP.
Yeah,
You think if you add
yeah,
Jamal Murray with that, Michael Porter
yeah,
Jr., I'll give you the
yeah.
Nuggets. They're getting it any time
They got
to
they got
but
the
they got
coaching
the
to get there.
yeah they got the core. The Nuggets have the core. So like you can
well,
draft the core.
a team that's ascending, but they're not in it. They've already been in the playoffs once. That I thought I think I just mentioned them probably like 5 minutes ago. Was the Memphis Grizzlies? Their core is completely drafted, and
Right.
they're in the playoffs. Or knocked off the Warriors to move on, which was shocking enough to me. Um, that's an argument to be had right there. Obviously, they're not a championship contending team, but it is an ascending team that's been built. The core is built through the draft.
Right.
I'll agree with that one. It's just too early for the jury to tell on them. We got to see more. We got to see what Zion Williams is going to turn into. And I like Jaren Jackson Jr., but we got to see what maybe his full potential is going to be. But that's another one that I say is there. I would say it's getting there, but it's I see your point on them, but it's too early for me.
You meant Ja. You meant Ja Morant.
Nah,
I'm sure
Jaren
you meant Ja
Jackson
Morant.
Jr. We need to see Jaren Jackson Jr.'s full
No,
potential
no,
because
no.
I think
Because you
he's
said Zion, but I think you meant Ja.
no Zion Williams, the small forward that they drafted this year.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. Oh, okay.
Yeah, nah, Zion Williams, the small forward. He's been starting for them the last couple of games. He was like top 10 coming out of high school, like recruiting, so he could be really good. He played with Bronny James and them in high school. He was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
their
yeah.
best player back then, so he can end up being really good maybe. And he's been showing some potential. So
They've got
I
other guys over too. I
yeah,
mean, you mentioned those three, but there's some other guys that they drafted, not even lottery
Clark,
picks that have.
yeah. Brooks, I think they drafted Brooks too. Brooks,
Oh,
he's been
Brooks, man,
out.
that boy's a player, man. I
Yeah.
like his attitude. I like Brooks a lot.
Yeah, now they
I like
they
Brooks a
definitely
lot.
drafted. They definitely got the core. I just think they're very young right now. But they
They
did it.
are.
Yeah, they did it. Yeah.
And the other thing is Memphis is another example of okay, you're good now and you're gonna get better, but there's other teams that were where you are now years ago. They got to get past Phoenix. Lord knows whatever happens to the Lakers if they get it right and get healthy. Okay, I still hope that happens. I still hope that happens, man, because I mean, you're talking about one of the best rosters in the league, but you got a Memphis, in my opinion, everyone healthy is looking up at teams like Phoenix, LA, Golden State, Denver, Utah.
Right.
That's a lot. You know what I'm
And
saying?
Here's
I
my thing with that. So Phoenix, as soon as Chris Paul's career is over, they got to find a replacement for
Oh
him.
hell yeah!
If they can't find a replacement for him, I got them falling back down to earth. He unlocked a lot there, and I think him not. You got to have the point guard. It's like quarterback. You have to have and that's something we have been preaching for years when it came to Phoenix. Like we were talking about, all right, if they get the second overall pick, him and John Morant, Devin Booker and John Morant are gonna be something special to see. And that didn't happen. You gotta have the point guard. And if they can't find a point guard, I got them fall. I think they'll still be good, especially with the experience that a lot of those guys got now. And by the way, you can throw them in there too. Obviously, Chris Paul's a big piece of that. But that core of technically Mikal Bridges wasn't drafted by them, but he was there. They got him from the draft. Devin Booker and
Aiden.
and DeAndre Ayton
Yeah.
drafted. Just went to an NBA Finals together. So yes, they have the free agent acquisition, but the other three core built through draft. But I was actually getting to a point with the Grizzlies. They're in a stage now where these teams are kind of at the peak. Like the Lakers are, that's not lasting the next 5-6 years. I don't even know if that's lasting 2-3 years, to be honest with you. No disrespect to them. Even with the Warriors, man, like the Warriors. Who's to say? Like we all agree they're probably going to the conference finals, but who's to say in 2-3 years that they're there? Like these guys are in their 30s now. You know what I mean?
You want to know why I think it's gonna last? Because their style of play, man. They don't. I mean, everybody does this now. it's not exactly a physical brand of basketball, but okay, they play that non-physical brand of basketball, shooting a bunch of threes, but they're great at it. And on top of that, they've perfected this system. Okay, they have, and I've been saying this, and I mean, I'm not, unlocking any physics here or anything like that, but I always go back to the point where look what they were before KD and look what they were with KD. But pre KD, they didn't have that athlete. The best athlete on that team was I don't want to call him wash, but was an older Iguodala. Okay, you get the athlete in KD, and it was a whole different type of offense. They got a bunch of athletes now. Okay, and if they, KD, Clay and Dre and Steph, they're gonna get older, but they're still gonna be shooting the lights out. Not Dre. He's gonna be that glue guy. But then if you add the young pieces around them, like the Wiggins and the Wisemans, and you get those athletes, man, that Kerr has figured that system out how to make it work. So it could be around for a while.
I agree. That's a system that seems like it could be around for a while. The Grizzlies, I think, to Mike's point, I think there's teams ahead of them for the fact that they're just more experienced. I think
Yeah,
they'll give those
yeah.
teams a run for their money right now, but
Oh yeah.
I think just the more experienced teams will get them. That's what I say. The Grizzlies have it, and that's probably the greatest example right now. It's just too early to tell because they're in like what 2 3 years, but they have the core. It's just we gotta see because in 1 2 years that whole shit could blow up off of who knows, and you can be
Yeah.
right back to where you were. But they did it. You can do it. It's just I think Mike's point is can you keep them together? You can
That's the
draft the
thing.
core, but can you keep them together?
That's
And
the
that's why
thing.
it's like with the Nuggets they have injuries and stuff now, so it's hard to tell. But they have it. But are they gonna stay together where they can get that championship? Same thing with the Grizzlies. Are they gonna stay together where they could get that championship? I think it's you can do it.
Hmm.
Can you keep them together?
And
Because especially in recent history, there's always something that happens where it's like, oh, this person's
Exactly.
unhappy, or a trade happens, or this or that.
I'll even add to Mike's point on this argument. Like this is it's not really something new that we've seen because even in the '90s, you got Shaq and Penny. We've been
Yeah, man.
to this day how great they could have been. Like we just mentioned T Mac and
And
Vince.
Vince.
Shaq and Penny went to an NBA Finals together. Like they did the whole 30 for 30 on it and everything. Like what could have been if Shaq didn't leave. So I'll give you that. But in terms of the Memphis Grizzlies, I don't have any sense. Things could change, but I don't have any sense right now that they have any worries about can they keep it together right now. Obviously, things could change, but I don't have that sense right now. And this is still a league where youth matters. Yes, you need the
Yeah.
stars,
Yeah.
but eventually youth will take over.
Oh, you want to know why that's 100% true? Because look who's getting drafted. It's not seniors getting drafted. It's not juniors getting drafted. In a year or two, we're going to be watching glorified high school basketball, man. High school all-star basketball. That's what we're going. And it sucks because you want to know why I got to get over this narrative of, oh, he doesn't have an NBA air quotes body. Okay, because everybody coming out is not that 10-year veteran that's built for the league right now. Everybody coming out has that pickup game body. Okay, so I got to get over that. He's not built for the league, or he won't last. He's not gonna get through a pick and roll like that because everybody coming out is the same. Yeah, you'll develop that in a couple years, but it's experience is not gonna be that much of a thing. Let me not say that because there's always gonna be somebody in the league for 10 years, but I've been saying that for a while. I hate one and done. I hate it. I can't stand it. All right. I don't have a problem with high school guys getting into the league, but I have a problem. Like if you make it to college, I wish that the NBA or NCAA made some type of regulation, like how the NFL, you gotta be in college 2 years removed from your graduating class. I wish. Okay. But that's just me. Call me the old man on the porch. Whatever.
I think they can
All
make it
right, man.
work. You let high school players come in, and then if you do go to college, you have to be there for 2 or 3 years. So it's either skip college or you go for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm all for guys getting their money, but that's because I still think that NCAA even with the NIL still be doing some scumbag stuff,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yep.
that's a conversation. Would you add something else to it?
Now I was gonna say that's how they make their money. So yeah, I think we all agree with how they do their business.
It's a conversation for another day, in depth anyway. But we can leave it on that, gentlemen. Y'all got anything else before we get out of here?
Uh,
Ah, big win for the Canes. They beat UNC at home. They were up by 32 at one point. Duke right now is at FSU. I think it's a tie game at the half. They're not showing me right now. They're coming back from the half, I think. But and then Syracuse is playing Clemson right now. What the hell is the FSU Duke game? I don't know, but Duke is ranked number 6. I think it was an absolute travesty for Miami to go into Duke, who was ranked number 2 at the time, into the cathedral of college basketball, beat them, and then not be ranked at all the following Monday. Where else does that happen, man? Tell me Miami bias isn't real, Rich. Come on, man. Come
I
on.
feel you, man. I
I
feel we got Canes are known too much for football, man. We got to throw some shine on Canes hoops. That, especially since they play in the ACC. It's definitely biased and it's a travesty.
I think the issue is they were on like a 7-game win streak when they went in there, so it wasn't like a one-off going to Duke and get a quick win. They were like 7-0 in the ACC. They go on to
Yeah.
Duke and get a win against the number 2 team. So the it was a good team. It was a good team on a good run that usually gets you ranked. It wasn't like a one-off. We're having a
Right.
decent season and we got to win. I think that win against North Carolina though, if they're not ranked next week, it's going to be a problem.
Definitely. Gentlemen, great one. Like I said, we will be in touch this weekend.
Yes, sir.
It's on camera too. You know, we couldn't save the spaces. This is here.
The spaces is saved. I think you can go back and watch it.
Okay, cool. So maybe I'll learn some things. Mike said he can change his pick if Bosa don't play. As of right now, I'm locking him in. I gotta get the drop, but I'm locking him in. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.